What's cracking, YouTube? Coming at you guys today with a review of the Synchro Cup event. We're going to talk a little bit about it, about the ban list, and then I'm going to show you guys 3 duels from the event that I thought were pretty cool. Originally, I wasn't planning on making a video for Synchro Cup. I was reading some comments on Reddit that I kind of agreed with, and you'll see what I'm talking about when we look at the ban list. Really, this is an event where I agree with everybody else that they should have, I think this is it, they should have banned Maxi. It doesn't make sense. The Charmies are also legal. It just doesn't really make much sense to have these cards in this kind of a format. With Exceeds, with Links, it's kind of the same issue. Maybe not so much with fusions, because you can fusion from the hand. But when you're synchro summoning, you got to have the monsters on the field, and most of the time you're going to be special summoning them. I've definitely had my fair share of duels where dropping a Maxi basically ends the game right there and then, and that's kind of a bummer. Like, good bans in here like Pachycephalos, Thunder King Ryo, preventing games from being just, well, in the Barrier statues, the Vanity's Fiend, Vanity's Ruler, preventing games from just being lockdown fests, skill drains on here too. This stuff is necessary, right? You want people to be able to play the format in the way that it's intended by special summoning a bunch of synchro monsters. And for the most part, they're not inhibiting that. Dark Highlander makes sense. Obviously, is going to prevent the opponent from synchro summoning. But although Maxi and the Charmies are not specifically a floodgate, they act that way, right? Because you're stuck making the choice of, well, I need to special summon 5 times to get to my synchro monster. Do I want my opponent to go +4, or do I want to end my turn here? And there are strong enough synchro decks in this day and age, especially with the new Blue Eye stuff, that a lot of people are going to be able to build a board that you can't get around because you didn't play anything. And that is the kind of stuff that turns Yu-Gi-Oh! Into a coin flip simulator, which is not a good time. We don't enjoy duels like that. So I started off playing this event with Goaty. Goaty is pretty fun. It's an interesting deck, an interesting concept with the fish banishing themselves, coming back to the field, synchro summoning, managing your resources between the graveyard, the banishment, what you have on the field. I did enjoy playing it, but it just, the deck suffers a lot to hand traps, negation. Really, a lot of times I found that if I was getting even one card disrupted, I didn't have much to go into, and those duels aren't very fun either. I wish it weren't the case, but it is. So I've been playing a modified Dragoonity deck here. I did add in Fulos and Maxi, mainly because I'm just trying to get the rewards, and I was just having a hard time playing my 44 card Dragoonity deck that I normally play, which we can take a look at real quick here. So this is the Dragoonity deck that I'm normally playing. It has basically every Dragoonity card in it, along with some generic staples, I guess you would say, for Wind, Winged Beasts, and Dragons. We have Cards of Consonance, really helpful for getting Dragoonity Tuner dragons in the graveyard, drawing more cards, especially with a thick deck like this. Thinning through it is important. For that same reason, we have 2 Dragoonity Glow. We have Summon Storm, which is helpful for getting 2 synchros and pulling out guys like Dragoonity Primus Pilus, who has a great effect, but oftentimes can miss timing, especially if it's summoned with monsters like Pilum, Achilles. There's one more here, I believe, that can do that, and it is Partisan. So those monsters will make Primus Pilus miss his timing, which is a bummer. We've got Follow Wing, which is kind of Dragon-centric or Dragoonity-centric and also works really well with the Synchros. Synchro Deflector to protect some of the weaker level 6 Dragoonity monsters, as well as Heritage of Light. This card's really helpful. It's very easy to do multiple Synchro summons. A lot of times a Barcha, a Gormafalber, or a Lewin, even a Vahranda can turn, or Vahrayana can turn into another Dragoonity Synchro monster, or just get multiple Dragoonities on the field. So Heritage of the Light felt like the right card to have. Honestly, I maybe should have kept it because it's a synchro event, so even if your opponent has a synchro monster on the field, you're still going to be able to draw a card off of it. but to thin the deck down, we took it out. And it's actually been working pretty well. I'm going to show you guys 2 duels here that I had that I thought were pretty cool, pretty exciting. In these duels, I don't believe I use Maxi or the Charmies, which is good because those duels aren't terribly exciting, right? I know I criticized at the beginning of the video, but I do understand the problems with these cards. I'm very busy right now, and I'm trying to just kind of fly through the event and collect the rewards. But let's take a look at these 2 duels. So here we go. First duel. This one, we were up against Battle Wasp, I believe. So I'm opening here with a Dragunity Glow. Going to activate Summon Storm to bring out Primus Pilus. Primus Pilus doesn't miss his timing. We're going to equip the Dark Spear. Glow is going to activate to bring Dark Spear onto the field. And here in this moment, I actually went for a Gormafalber. Oof, these Dragunity Synchro names are tough. But the reason I did that is because I didn't have a whole lot to do with a Barcha as far as Dragon tuners in the graveyard. And a Gormafalbar was going to give me a Dragunity Knight, a Reed Bear. A Reed Bear is a really solid monster on turn 1 because you can negate and banish an opponent's monster. If it's destroyed, you can basically Harpy's Feather Duster their spells and traps. I know that Ascalon will give you another Dragunity Synchro monster if it's destroyed, but you can't use its banishing effect on the opponent's turn. So this felt like the right monster to start with, and we have a Follow Wing for extra protection, as well as a Phalanx for a little bit of protection as well. They're going to do Battle Wasp Twin Bow with another Twin Bow and 3 set cards. I kind of figured that one of these would be Nest, but I wanted to try and build up my resources here, so I went with the Divine Lance. You'll see who I grab with it. They're going to Imperm, so I can't use a Reed Bear's effect this turn, and I can't use Following either because it was in the column. This made me a little bit nervous because I wasn't 100% sure what the face downs were, but they chained the Battle Wasp Nest, so I was just like, you know what, let's get a counter on this thing, because otherwise it's just going to sit, it's going to be annoying, it's going to negate more battle phases. With Nest, they're going to bring out Sting the Poison. Sting the Poison. Sting the Poison's effect is going to let them search a Rapier the Onslaught. And not much to do here. So again, I equipped the Corseska because that would let me search more Dragunity monsters. It's a great way to get the level 2 Dragunity tuner that you can discard for Ravine. They're going to use Rapier's effect here. Discard a Beetrooper Scout Buggy. I actually didn't realize they had that in this deck to activate a Battle Wasp Wind. Wind is going to trigger. That's going to give them a Pin the Bullseye from the deck. Pin the Bullseye is going to trigger and special summon itself. Wind is going to activate to give them a Dart the Hunter. Pin deals 200. Wind lets Pin be treated as a tuner. And they go into Grand Partisan the Revolution. Grand Partisan the Revolution destroys the Phalanx. That I'm okay with. It's not eternally necessary for me to have that right now. And when they do the Aura Blast, the Rapid Fire, I'm going to trigger a Reed Bear, and we're going to banish the Dark Spear to negate and banish the Aura Blast. Got to do something to keep the monsters off the field, because they have another battle phase ending effect on Battle Wasp Nest. So we use our second Dragunity Glow for an Armamistalin. Armamistalin's effect is going to bring Koos as an equip. Koos is going to summon itself. And from here, we can go into the Dragunity Knight Ascalon. Ascalon triggers to banish the Grand Partisan, which does trigger Grand Partisan's effect. But luckily, a Reed Bear can negate it, and they don't have another Battle Wasp to tribute to negate my effect with Sting the Poison. Otherwise, they would have been able to shut that down, and I would have been in serious trouble here. I used Divine Lance to equip a Brandy Stock, hoping that next turn I'll be able to just mow down all the monsters that they swarm out into the field. Of course, we have to get rid of the Nest, so I attack. They use Wind after they summon Sting the Poison with Nest to add another Pin the Bullseye, and then they add a Rapier with Sting the Poison's effect. So at this point, I felt like maybe I should have banished these Sting the Poisons just to shut down more of their plays, but I wasn't... I don't know. I guess because there is a limit, right? I only have 2 Dragunities left in my graveyard. You can use Ascalon's effect as many times as you want. A Reed Bear is a once per turn on the negation and banish, but I didn't want to get myself down to like 0 Dragunities in the graveyard. That would have been trouble. I tried to use a Reed Bear here to negate Rapier because I don't want them having 2 Battle Wasp Wind on the field, but of course they have a monster to tribute with Sting the Poison. It's just one other insect monster, not one other insect monster besides Sting the Poison. So they contribute a Sting the Poison to trigger its effect. They negate a Reed Bear, they place a Wind, they summon Rapier, both winds trigger. And this is where things started to get dicey, right? Because at this point, they are basically searching out every Battle Wasp in their deck. I have tried Battle Wasp before. I didn't remember all the cards specifically. Definitely, it's a very complicated combo-heavy deck, but I do know that Battle Wasp Wind is like the key card here, because you can see that they are searching so many monsters off of it, and that's trouble. Because I believe it gives them... Oh, never mind. I thought that it gave them another normal summon each turn off of it, but anyways, they're going to synchro here for a level 12. They're going to go into Ballista the Armageddon. Ballista is going to trigger and banish every insect from the graveyard to make my monster's attack 0. Here I trigger Following and equip it to a Reed Bear. Following triggers and destroys the Ballista. Ballista triggers and special summons 2 Rapier and a Sting the Poison. Sting triggers here to add, I believe that was another pin. And they're going to synchro into another Ballista the Armageddon, which they probably should have waited until next turn for that, because the attack decrease is permanent. So yeah, I don't actually fully understand it. I guess it's like a continuous permanent effect, because here I thought that Following destroying a Reed Bear, Following should give a Reed Bear, or Following destroying Ballista, it should have given a Reed Bear another 3,000 attack, 3,000 attack. It didn't gain anything. And I was okay with this because I have Brandy Stock equipped, so it would have been a 3,000 attack monster who could have attacked again. I gained nothing, so that's a pretty crazy effect on Armageddon, but Armageddon's going to trigger to try and summon back 3 monsters. A Reed Bear's at 0 attack, but its effect isn't negated, so I banish the Primus Pilus to negate and banish, and I don't know why I did that with Pin the Bullseye. And I guess I couldn't have done it. I wish I could have switched a Reed Bear to defense position here, but we already attacked with it. Here they're going to synchro summon into Azusa, the Ghost Bow. They're going to activate Summoning Swarm to bring back a Reblast. The Rapid Fire, they're going to tune again for Saichi the Ceremonial Bow. Use its effect to treat it as a tuner. Activate Revival Swarm to bring back Azusa. And Following only works on level 5 or higher monsters here, so a Reed Blast is able to destroy it. And ouch, Dart the Hunter triggers here to deal me 3,300 damage. A Reed Bear is going to destroy the 2 winds, which was nice. I needed that. And then thank God for Ascalon. Ascalon is going to synchro out Barcha. I love Dragoonity Knight Barcha. This is one of the reasons that I like this deck. Nobody's using this card, but Barcha kind of won me the game. This was how we rebuilt our resources here. So, equipping him with 5 Dragoonity monsters from the graveyard. And exactly for this reason, because there's so many ways to get Dragoonities out of the Spell and Trap Zone, even beyond like Koos, Phalanx's effect being able to do it on themselves. So Legion on their turn would have been able to bring back a Reed Bear. That monster effect negation is no joke. So I did kind of mess up here again. I brought out Koos, and then I used Glow. Oh yeah, I forgot. I had Glow's effect. So I brought out a Reed Bear. I should have attacked first, but we're still going to be able to deal some damage here and get a search off of Corseska. Another great reason to play Barcha, because getting multiple effects from multiple Dragoonity equips is so nice. So finally we get to do what we want to do earlier. Corseska searches a Remus. Corseska triggers it again for a Pylum. We went from, what did I have? 1 card in hand? I think all I had was the Guisarme and the Barcha. Well, I mean, I guess when they destroyed Ascalon, all I had was Guisarme. Barcha just brought us back. I mean, that really turned things around. So, Remus discard for a Ravine. Activate Ravine. Use Ravine. Discard the Pylum. Add a Legionnaire. Summon Legionnaire. Legionnaire is going to equip with the Pylum. We can't destroy Saichi because there was a Battle Wasp card effect, I think, that makes it so I can't destroy it. So unfortunately, we just have to take out the Azusa, the Ghost Bow, Synchro into Trident so that we don't have any attack position monsters because we're low on life points. They have a Dart, the Hunter. We have to negate that with the Reed Bear because that would have been game. We're going to banish the Pylum to negate it. And this is where things are really dicey because I only have 1,000 life points. So I was sweating here. I was for sure sweating. So they're going to tribute both monsters for Queen Butterfly Danaus after tribute summoning it. I'm going to train Dragoonity Legion. Legion is going to equip my Ascalon. They're going to synchro into Baronne de Fleur. Great duel against Battle Wasp until the Baronne de Fleur. Maybe I shouldn't be talking because I'm playing generic staples too, but I hate Baronne de Fleur. This card sucks. It is so stupid. I can't stand it. I wish they had made it require Fleur de Chevalier to be played, but they didn't, so here we are. Okay, so they trigger Baronne. They destroy my Barcha. They probably should have gone for a Reed Bear, but they went for... I guess they destroyed Barcha because they saw what I was going to do to bring back Ascalon. And they know that they have the negate on Baronne de Fleur to negate a Reed Bear. So that's probably why they felt confident here. They tried to use Baronne de Fleur to bring a level 9 monster back from the graveyard. They were going to bring back the Danaus. I guess I kind of got baited here. I didn't think it would be a good idea to let them do that. But also it ends up working out in my favor, and you're going to see why in a second. So I'm going to use a Reed Bear. We're going to banish Barcha, because Barcha is useless now that we can't Synchro Summon it. Unfortunately, it's just a 2,000 attack level 8 monster. They're going to chain again the Baronne de Fleur in order to negate my Reed Bear and destroy it. But the negate on Baronne is gone now. And we've got Monster Reborn, baby. We're back in the game. So, Monster Reborn back, a Reed Bear, who is the MVP of this game. Legion is going to equip the Ascalon. Ravine, discard the Guisarme for a Militum. Summon Militum. Militum brings back Ascalon. Remus's effect triggers. Special summon him. Synchro into... Oh my god. I bought one of these cards a while ago, and the guy at the card shop was making fun of its name. He called him Gay Bulge. Ascalon's gonna trigger here. We're gonna banish 3 monsters to wipe the field, and that's game. So Gable is gonna attack, gain 1200 by banishing Legionnaire. Ascalon attacks directly, and a Reed Bear attacks directly for game. That was a close one, under 1,000 life points, especially with Battle Wasp and all the burn damage. The Saichi, the Ceremonial Bow, if they had used its effect, if they'd been able to use it as a synchro material, which I wonder if they just didn't have the level 7 synchro monster in the deck, but if they'd been able to use it as a synchro material, they could have burned me for like 1,500 damage, and I mean, that would have been it. So luckily for me, they weren't able to do that. And then the second duel here, I actually don't specifically remember who I was up against, but we'll find out in just a second here. This one was a little bit shorter, but I believe there was still some pretty good back and forth here. So, solid opening hand. Starting with the Dragoonity Glow, we're going to add Mistalin, summon Guisarme, tribute Guisarme to special summon Mistalin, special summon Guisarme, Guisarme summons himself, activate the Divine Lance on Guisarme, who's going to bring out Kus. Kus special summons himself, and we're going to synchro into a Reed Bear. Sorry, but a Reed Bear... Great opening monster, best one to start with, and that's why I equipped Divine Lance with Guisarme, because I knew that Miss Lin would go to the graveyard for a Synchro Summon, so now I can keep using Divine Lance if need be. So, didn't matter that I pulled out a Reed Bear, because they're going to go into a Kaiju, Gadarla, and it was Speedroid, that's right. So, they're going to use Speedroid Wheel, bring out Terror Top, and Marble Machine, whose effects are both negated. They activate Colonel Clackers and Wing Synchron in the extra monster zones. Special summon Car Turbo. I guess Wing Synchron can Synchro summon from the Pendulum zones. So they're going to Synchro into Clear Wing Synchro Dragon. Special summon out Colonel Clackers. And then Synchro into Crystal Clear Wing over Synchro Dragon. Jeez, what a mouthful. I don't know why everybody does this, but they use Colonel Clackers to give it an extra 700 attack. I feel like they should have destroyed the Kaiju, but I guess they saw the value in Divine Lance, so they didn't do it. We're going to use the Kaiju they gave us to get rid of the Terratops, so that way it's not easy for them to synchro into more monsters. Set the Phalanx. It's not looking good at this point. They're going to tribute for Win the Wind Charmer. They're going to use the effect of Car Turbo, give all their wind monsters 800, Colonel Clackers to give another 700. So we've got a 5700 attack, crystal clear wing over Synchro Dragon to deal with, along with a Win the Wind Charmer. Luckily, I drew Remus. We're going to trigger Remus here, who obviously the crystal clear wing over Synchro Dragon is going to negate because they know Dragon Ravine's a great card. Negated. At this point, we're going to Monster Reborn into a Reed Bear and do Legatus to special summon himself, special summon Remus, synchro with both of them into Vahriana. Vahriana is going to equip the Koos, and Koos is going to special summon itself. We're going to synchro with Koos and Vahriana into Ascalon, the two biggies. Wow, nobody uses Ascalon either. I guess a Reed Bear probably also has like a 0.3% usage rate, but anyways, we're going to use Ascalon here to banish the Mistalin, to banish the over Synchro Dragon. It's going to trigger its effect to special summon a new Clearwing monster, and a Reed Bear is going to negate that effect, and at that point, they are going to forfeit. So, a quick duel, but definitely was kind of staring down the barrel there. Got lucky with the Remus top deck to trigger the negate so that we could Monster Reborn, and negating Remus, having him in the graveyard was helpful. So the last duel I'm going to show you guys is me playing Centur-Ion. I've been a big fan of Centur-Ion since it was released in Valiant Smashers. Honestly, I thought that entire deck build pack was great. Memento was pretty cool. Valmonica was interesting. I haven't gotten a chance to play Valmonica yet, but it's on my list, and I have most of the cards from, you know, getting a box of Valiant Smashers. But I'm a huge fan of Gurren Lagann, and Centur-Ion is kind of like the Gurren Lagann deck. I think it's based on a few other mecha animes too, but just absolute huge Gurren Lagann fan here. And Legacia, for sure, I think is a Gurren Lagann reference, as well as Primera, Trudea, Emeth 6, Stand Up Centur-Ion, etc. So this is my deck list. I know there's a lot of meta cards in here. I'm sorry. It's basically just meta staples that I added in because I just wanted to get the rewards, and I got to a point in the event where it was just not possible to keep playing pure decks. So I did it for the rewards. I know I got Synchro monsters in here that aren't Centur-Ion either, although Enigmaster Packbit is definitely a Centur-Ion card for sure based on the way his effect works. But luckily, in this duel, I draw some of these cards, but I don't use them. I win with pure Centur-Ion. So let's take a look. So my opponent is going first, unfortunately. We lost the coin flip, and they are playing Speedroid. I don't think that they're playing the pre-made Speedroid. I'm pretty sure there's a pre-made Speedroid deck for this event that Master Duel will give you, but based on some of the cards they played, I don't think that they're playing it. If they are, then I've just been going up against straight up apes who did not know about some of these combo lines, which is also possible. I'll check after this and see if it was the pre-made Speedroid deck, but they have several Mulcharmy copies of Fulos. They've got Small World, which they use to grab a copy of Max C, which is just absolutely disgusting. They're going to trigger Wheel here, discard their Infinite Impermanence, which I guess they figured it was better to get rid of that than get rid of the Max C. And I think they needed that card to finish their combo lines here. They end up going into Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, and because of the Hagoida, they are also going to be able to pull off a copy of Baronne de Fleur, as you'll see in a moment here. Well, they go into a Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, or a Clear Wing Synchro Dragon, and then tune it with the Quirk Shooter for a Baronne de Fleur. For some reason, they use their Baronne de Fleur to pop their Red-Eye dice. I don't know if there was a reason for that, but they did it. And so it's kind of a rough board here. They have two negates, and then also they have the Max C in hand. So we're playing under a lot. So we're going to start trying to bait the Baronne de Fleur with a Bonfire. Of course, they're going to trigger the Max C immediately. My ultimate goal here was trying to get Centur-Ion monsters into the spell and trap zone and just triggering nothing with the max C. But you'll see it doesn't quite pan out that way, and it's because of Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. They're going to use it to negate my Trudea. We're going to trigger Emblema Oath, which they're not going to negate. Trigger Primera to special summon itself. That's going to get negated by Baronne de Fleur, which kind of sucks because, I mean, Primera would have given us another search, another card to play, but we still have some options here. So we go into stand up Centur-Ion, discard the Gargoyle 2 to place Atri, activate the bonds to replace Gargoyle, special summon Atri. Atri's going to give us a draw. They get a draw from Maxi. Sadly, we draw another stand up Centur-Ion. That doesn't do anything this turn, unfortunately. And then we're going to special summon Gargoyle, and we are going to use stand up Centur-Ion to synchro into Auxilla. They're going to get 2 more draws from the Gargoyle and the Auxilla, but Auxilla is going to trigger here as well as Bonds. Bonds is going to place the Primera. Gargoyle is going to trigger and come back to our hand. And then Auxilla is going to give us Awakening. I think Awakening was the best move here because I needed to start negating some of their negates. I mean, that's just really what it came down to. So at the end of the turn, Auxilla is going to replace the Atri in the spell and trap zone. And it wasn't looking half bad before because they just had the, you know, the Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon and the Baronne de Fleur. Maybe if I had had more time to think, I could have just actually left my monsters all in the spell and trap zone and tried to do something around the Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, but I wanted to get Auxilla out, get more searches off, get more monsters in the spell and trap zone, and the True Awakening does come in handy here. Baronne's going to try and destroy it. We're going to use the True Awakening here to send an Atri to negate Baronne de Fleur and destroy it. Had to do it because otherwise we were going to just lose the True Awakening. They're going to summon a Takatam Borg. They're going to summon a Fuki Modoshi Piper. They're going to trigger the Hagoida, which is shocking to me that it doesn't get like banished after it's summoned, or it's not like it's a once per turn. It's not a once per duel. So they're going to synchro into the Stellar Wind Wolf Riot, who gains 300 every time a monster effect triggers. Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon is going to gain 3,000 attack because it attacked Auxilla. Probably should have put Auxilla in defense, but we did manage to survive here. And they're going to attack directly with their other 2 monsters, and we're going to end with 700 life points. Okay, so they're setting a face down card. We're in a little bit of a pinch, but we have options. I'm going to summon the Primera. They're going to trigger the Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon to negate it. And that's actually really helpful because the negate is now taken care of. So monster effects are back online. We're going to activate that stand-up Centur-Ion. This actually comes in handy that we drew it last turn. Discard the Phalanx. And we're going to place Trudea. Activate Phalanx, banish it, special summon the Auxilla. Auxilla triggers here, gives us another search. We're going to grab another Atri. Wolf Riot is going to trigger again because of Auxilla's effect. So it's at 3,400. When this thing hits 4,000, so 2 more monster effects, it can tribute itself. Yeah, you shuffle Stellar Wind Wolf Riot and all of my monsters back into the deck. So we only have 2 monster effects left here. That's why I didn't trigger Atri, because yeah, the draw would have been nice, but it would have put it at 3,700, and that would have made it so that they could have chained Wolf Riot's effect to shuffle my monsters back on my next monster effect, and I did not want that to happen. So luckily it doesn't trigger on the Centur-Ions in the spell and trap zone because they're treated as continuous traps. So we're going to special summon Trudea here. Stand up Centur-Ion is going to let us synchro summon, quick synchro, just doing it in case they're face down something nasty. And we're going to summon Legacia. Legacia is going to trigger here and pop the Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, who can't stop that from happening because it has already used its effect. We get a draw off, which turns out to be another Centur-Ion Phalanx, which we might actually get to use the effect of this time. And we set it. At the end of the turn, Legacia is going to activate to place Primera in the spell and trap zone. Wolf Riot's going to gain another 300. It's at 4,000. Auxilla triggers. But I'm fine with this at this point. You can shuffle them back into my extra deck, because now that I have my monsters in the spell and trap zone, I can special summon them back. I can quick synchro with stand-up Centur-Ion, and from there, I can go back into my synchro monsters. Like, summoning out Legacia is great, because I get to pop the effect again. So, before anything gets too crazy, we're going to bring out the Primera. They're summoning Hagoida back. Primera triggers here, which they are going to Ash Blossom. Geez, 87.7% usage rate. Amazing. So Primera's going to get negated. They triggered their Fukimodoshi Piper at this point, and they were trying to decrease Hagoida's level by 2, which would have been 8. I don't know if they were going to try and do another Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, but yeah, actually, honestly, that's probably what they were going for here. So I figured if they're going to burn the effect like that, it's probably as good a time as ever to do some disruption. Bring out Trudea, increase Trudea's level, stand up Centur-Ion is going to let us quick synchro here into Legacia. Legacia triggers and destroys the Hagoida and gives us a draw. It's Ash Blossom. So at this point, I feel like I'm in a good spot, because if they were to summon out another big synchro monster, we could have solemned it. If they were to somehow have extensions past that, we could banish some of those key synchro materials so they couldn't do another synchro summon. At this point, I was just going to use Legacia to put Primera back in my spell and trap zone, and I figured, you know what? Maybe I'll just banish my own Legacia with Phalanx. When it summons back next turn, I can pop the Speedroid Wing Synchron, draw a card, and then at that point, we're just trying to put 8k on the board and end the duel. But I guess at that point, they figured they didn't have anything else they could do, and they ended up surrendering the game. So, yeah, this event, maybe I mentioned in the beginning, I wasn't really planning on making a video for this event. I haven't been enjoying it too much. Second stage started already, and I didn't make it in time to the end to get there. It's kind of like the last Duelist Cup, where it's just like, I don't know, the matches start feeling like a coin flip simulator. You can see some of my duels here. They're not really, I mean, that's that one that lasted 5 turns, and then there's one that lasted 6. And this one was kind of a dud too. Like, me and my opponent were not really, we both just kept negating each other and not having anything to do. So they weren't terribly exciting. And then a lot of these are just like 1-2 turn duels where it's like, they see where things are going and they scoop, or I see where things are going and I scoop. So this event in particular has really felt a lot like a coin flip simulator, where if you get heads and you can go first, you might be able to play the game. If you get tails and you go second, well, your opponent's probably going to have so many negates on the board that you're not going to be able to play the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Plain and simple. And a lot of the decks that I play, at least, there are some decks where it's like, it's tough to know, should I negate now? Should I wait? What other cards do they have? When's the right time to kind of like plug the combo? But with a lot of the decks I play, it's pretty easy to be able to tell when the time to negate has come, and then to just negate in that moment. So yeah, not a very good time. I actually wanted to end this video on a loss, because I don't want you guys to think that like I'm only enjoying this game when I'm only having fun with this game and enjoying it when I'm winning. But a lot of my losses just aren't exciting games is the problem, Even this one that lasted 6 turns. It just wasn't a very exciting game. Like, it just wouldn't be exciting for me to show that one to you guys, because nothing really happened. So it's kind of a bummer. I mean, if I do ever have a loss where I'm like, hey, you know what, there was some good back and forth there, I played my best, I will definitely do some uploads for that, because losing is a part of the game. But a lot of times when I lose, it's just boring. It's people playing solitaire with themselves, ending on ultra negate boards, or they max C me when they already have like a fully set up board. Yeah, so keep an eye out for those in the future. But if you guys liked this video, if you like this content, please like and subscribe, share with your friends. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. How did you guys feel about Synchro Cup? What decks were you playing? Do you enjoy events like this? Did you make it to the second stage? I would love to hear you guys' thoughts in the comments. And as usual, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.